Welcome back. This is Face the Nation. We're in conversation with the Executive Director of PAFRA, Rohan Hettiarachchi, Executive Director of CAFE, Keerthi Tennakoon, and also National Coordinator of the Centre for Monitoring Election Violence, Manjula Gajjanayaka. We start off with this round with Manjula Gajjanayaka. Now, the notion is that election monitors are not taking a proactive approach. They're taking a reactive approach. The time starts now.
As a monitoring body, actually, as election monitoring body, we can't accept that blame, actually, that thing. That means if you are taking the last presidential election, during the last presidential election, actually, now actually many more people knows that every positive steps taken by election commissioner, we were behind him. Because we pressurized him, and we were able to publish the joint statement. Not only that, actually, when he convened a meeting, we were able to convince him that such kind of things is happening around, and also we pressurized in IGP also. Then taking such kind of examples, we can say that we always proactive in our mission, because we can see that always politicians and candidates are like to manipulate the things. That means if you are publishing, if you are giving comprehensive reports with evidence, always it is valuable and important to take decisions to election commissioner and IGP also. Then we can say, actually, definitely we have taken more positive steps during the last presidential election. Not only last presidential election, even before. Then this election also we have started our monitoring mission. So then we can say definitely we are in proactive mode.
Thank you very much. That, of course, was Manjula Gajjanayaka, National Coordinator of the Centre for Monitoring Election Violence. I now move on to Keerthi Tennakoon, Executive Director of CAFE. You're saying that drugs and elections go hand in hand. I want to know, Mr. Tennakoon, you said about certain provinces, you see the evidence of drugs. Even yesterday during your program, you clearly said that this is evident in districts like Badulla as well. How would individuals know? How would individuals know that these candidates are those involved in drugs?
The positive, clean election environment or the change of political culture in the Sri Lanka was much talked about topic during the last 9 months, and the President Maithripala Sirisena and the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, two leaders of the main coalition parties of the country now, are continuously saying that they will ensure that the quality of their political parties, number two, the quality of their candidates. And in this environment, we have to consider what are the promises they have made to the communities during the last 9 months, and they have to stick with that. The issue here, now we are experiencing the nomination period, and we have seen all these people who is having various allegations, who were convicted with the laws, and who was labeled as drug dealers, who were labeled as very corrupt people, who are having inquiries with the Bribery and Corruption Commission, who was having weekly visits to the FLIC, the Financial Crime Bureau
Investigation Division.
Yes, and who was having all the notorious work, the rapists, and all these people is now filing up their nomination application.
But they're not criminals.
They are. This is the issue. The main two political parties, the UNP and the UPFA, namely Ranil Wickremesinghe and Maithripala Sirisena, label these people. We have listed out more than 18 names throughout the island as these people as who are mainly targeted with the political arena, the dialogue which happened during the last 9 months. And if the people like everyone knows these allegations, number one. Number two, everyone believes that there's a very concrete evidence, even though they are not convicted yet.
But that's unfair.
Or you can make the arguments, and you can, and there are some people who was convicted still vote the applications, the nominations, and they are appearing continuously on the nomination boards, and moreover, some of these people have posted their posters even starting their election campaigning without anything, and moreover, I mean, the people who shocked, especially some civil society organizations who was campaigning for the clean elections, clean candidates, that the UPFA chairman Maithripala Sirisena should explain whether he consider Mahinda Rajapaksa as a clean man to ensure the UPFA nominations, because during the last 9 months continuously we have seen that Maithripala Sirisena, the president, was telling Mahinda Rajapaksa is a corrupt man.
Thank you very much.
We have to address this issue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kirtan Nakon, Executive Director of CAFE. I now move on to Mr. Rohan Hettiarachchi, Executive Director of PAFRA. Mr. Hettiarachchi, March 12th declaration, very interesting. You say he should not be a criminal, free of bribery and corruption, free of antisocial trades, not abusing authority, environment friendly, free of abusive financial contracts, close to electors, opportunities for women and youth. Who are we supposed to elect if this is the case?
No, I mean, that means what you are trying to say is the entire parliament is, I mean, they
I'm
can't.
not trying to say this. I'm asking you, who should be appointed if this is the
There are
case?
thousands of people in the country who is having these qualifications, but unfortunately the present system are not allowed them to come into the politics. That is one thing. I mean, mainly, you know, in the present electoral system, whoever come into as a candidate, they need to have at least 100 millions Sri Lankan rupees to do their campaign. So that is one side. And again, if political parties able to select proper people, like considering this criteria, all political party leaders has already endorsed this. If they able to select, I mean, able to consider this criteria, there are enough people in the country. I mean, we can't say all the, I mean, we have 20 million people in the country. I mean, they are not all are not drug dealers. They all are not corrupted people. There are thousands and thousands of people are there, but they are not coming to politics because of the system, and also the political party does not consider them. So what we are trying to do is pressurize the political parties to consider some sort of criteria, bring good people in, then the people will decide.
So this is practical. This program is practical.
I am not saying the next parliamentary elections we may not success, but my position is within next 10 years period, if you all support us, the media and the citizens and the civil society, if they are in the same line, we can achieve. Maybe take 5 to 10 years period, but that is fine.
Mr. Hettiarachchi, I want to drag your attention to this one component which says environment friendly. The candidate should be environment friendly. However, Mr. Tennakoon very clearly said that there are going to be approximately around 4,000 candidates contesting the upcoming elections. How would one know that he is the person who is supposed to be voted for in this preferential voting system if you don't even paste a few posters?
Yeah, that is what I am trying to say. I mean, with the present system, I mean, that's two sides.
Right.
If someone says that I have to put up a posters, cut out, that means they are not close to the people. If you are close to the people, they should aware who you are. That is one side. On the other hand, they have to do campaigns throughout the district, the bigger area. So actually the present elections law, I think for our positions is either we have to follow the law or otherwise we have to change the law.
So this will not lead into other component which says free of abusive financial contracts. If you want to go door to door, meet people, wouldn't this lead to that at a given point?
Well, it's depend. Some people who are not fully engaged with the people or not close to the people,
you have to have several kind of programs to reach to the people. If you are with the people, you don't want to do any campaign during the close of the elections. There are some people in the last elections also, we have noticed, no posters, no cutout, but they get elected. But I am not saying the entire, the 4,000 people, I think there are many people, they are coming to politics, they are coming to the parliament because of their financial power with these illegal propaganda that is there. But if you are real politicians, if you are really close to the people, you don't want any kind of this illegal propaganda. But at the same time, I need to say the present elections law and the election system need to be changed. Otherwise, it's hardly difficult to change the political culture.
Thank you very much. I open the floor for questions. We start off with Sonali.
Thank you, Shamir. Mr. Hettiarachchi, my first question is to you. Now, the people voted for change on the 8th of January, especially against the executive presidency, large-scale corruption, drugs, thievery. Now, when the general election is held under the Parliamentary Elections Act without electoral reforms, can this change be achieved? Now, we spoke about unsuitable nominations being given as well. Now, before you answer the question, I'd like to also tell you now, a universal accepted principle of law is that a person must be presumed innocent until proven guilty. Your thoughts?
Exactly. And we also not saying that. I mean, there are thousands of people, they have some criminal allegations, right? So until it proved, you can't say that they are criminal people. Even this drug abuse and all other corruptions, I mean, it's hardly difficult in Sri Lankan judiciary system. I don't know whether it is a failure of the judiciary system. I mean, there are a lot of areas we have to consider, but until we prove they are innocent people, yes, that is true. But the political party leaders, they know these guys. I mean, especially the parliamentary elections, those who are very close to the political party, they will get some sort of chance to contest the elections. They know these people. So whether the judiciary system prove or not, they know who are these guys. So they can select on their, I mean, they should have some sort of criteria their own. And the other side, if that is what we are trying to do, if the political parties fail to do that, we are educating the people, whatever the political party, how they should select their candidate. So that is what we call the scorecard here. So they can assess themselves. So they can list out the candidate's name, whatever the political party they are supposed to vote, they can list out the candidate name, and there are some simple criteria. So they can use that.
The number of eligible voters in Sri Lanka.
Sorry?
The number of eligible voters in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Is approximately how much, Mr. Jaish?
14 millions.
So you are distributing this document for all 14 million people in the country.
Yeah. No, of course no.
Okay.
But I think all of you know, aware that the March 12 movement, not only PAFL, there are a lot of civil society and academic, business community, various other people are there. So we are going around the country. I think I need to appreciate that the TV channel also giving the good publicity. So with that, we can aware thousands of people. We have printed this 1 million scorecard. I think it's a huge number. So one card will goes to a couple of people. We may not in a position to address each and every voters in the coming elections, but our target is next local government elections. So these elections we will achieve maybe 10-15%. But in the coming elections, next local election, then again the next provincial elections, I believe for myself, next 10 years period we can change certain.
How will the support rendered to your organization by the election commissioner or election secretary?
Of course, he is fully support us. They know clearly what PAFL is doing. Actually, we are not engaging any party politics. In my personally also, I don't vote any political party last 15 years because I am heading the election monitoring body. So he is giving a full support. But as Kirti mentioned that we have not recognized officially. Elections Commission recognized from 2004 onwards. But there are certain areas where we need to get much more chance. For example, this counting. The last time we have get opportunity to observe the counting places, but only on the selected areas. I think we are happy that if we can observe the entire counting centers.
Mr. Thanakon, before we went in for the last break, you said something very interesting about campaigners, supporters being paid for putting up posters and coming for rallies and stuff with packets of heroin. Do you have any evidence? Can you give us any names of people who are actually doing this?
I mean, there are so many politicians who's doing that, and even though the politicians are not
Actually, let me ask the question this way. Now, this is not something that we constantly hear of in the media about people being paid for it, right?
it's a practice. But
You've been an election monitor for a very long time. When did this start?
it's a long time ago. I mean, even when the cafe starts at 2008, and this is, I mean, in the urban areas, this was one of the very common practices.
Was it happening
here, we should understand the political culture of that. I mean, earlier times, in the good old days, we are having the youth leagues, the women's leagues, student leagues, and all the entities, something like trade unions, to do the election campaigning for these political parties. But during the last 2 decades, we gradually see that decrease of the human resources coming into the do the election campaigning or the political programs or the political activities for the almost all the leading political parties. So that in sense, to get the paid human resources to do the election campaigning. So there are no discipline whatsoever when this election campaigning is taking place. The main expenditure on human resources comes with the pasting posters and putting the decorations and all that. So there are people who's doing this job on the paid basis, nothing on the political affiliations, or they are, as a part of the party structure.
At the presidential election, how many complaints did CAFE receive of people being paid with drugs?
Not a single complaint, but the people who really observe this, the people who engage with these political activities knows that this is a reality. And yesterday we had a very interesting discussion with the anti-narcotic people here. So the colleagues at the next studio with us. So this is one common practice, and after that particular discussions, they were giving the names of the people who was doing that and the how far it has went on.
What are the police doing anything to stop this?
Actually, I mean, this is day-to-day practice in Colombo City. It's not just on the election campaigning time. It happens each and every day whenever this poster pasting is taking place. And during the election times, basically during the campaign time, politicians just hire these people.
So people are aware.
So this is almost like slave labor.
So people are aware about these individuals. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, definitely. But here, in the first time, now we are during the nomination times, for the first time in Sri Lankan history, just because of the pressure, the individuals, the civil society organizations mounting on the political parties, now we are talking about the clearness of the candidates, these issues, the corrupt people and all that, and there's a huge campaigning not allow the people who was alleged with those allegations not to give nominations.
But surely, back to something that we mentioned earlier, can't you be more proactive? Can't you write to these so-called bad people and ask them to explain their actions and publish that? There's nothing illegal about that. And that way the people will know who you're talking about.
Definitely. And it's very interesting to understand how the last presidential election campaign happens. The main political parties, especially the Maithripala Sirisena, hijacked the slogans and the activities which the civil society was talked about for decades. And with that explosion, the individuals, the civil societies, the other players came into the stage and naming and shaming these sort of corrupt practices and politicians. With that thing, I mean, everyone was well exposed to these corrupt activities, and now the people stands very strongly and demanding not to give the nominations. The media is doing a marvelous job. They are talking about, they are getting the voice cuts of the politicians and repeating it in some cases,
But
like
no
the
one's
former.
naming any names, though.
Sorry?
But no one's naming any names.
I mean,
people don't really know.
everyone who was observed this last election campaigning knows at least 16 names was published just by the politicians.
There was only really two candidates.
Even
you can't say-
when it comes to, I mean, let's take JVP leader Mr. Anwar Dissanayake, but he said 3-4 days ago, he mentioned what's the situation in Kalutara. Whether the people who was doing the daylight robberies on trains were given nomination, it will benefit a certain political party. So naming is taking place. Everyone knows this. Everyone in this area knows whom we are talking about. We are talking about Nigambo, for example. Everyone knows who are the people who's having these sort of entities. It's not the matter just the politicians or the organization or a civil society group or an individual naming these people. The naming and shaming taking place. But there's a saying that the leaders of a country is coming in accordance with the citizens of that particular country. And this is the very unfortunate thing. Knowing all these facts, the businesses what they are having, the business associates they are having, the deals what they are having, still the people are having a tendency, just because of private benefits what they are having, to get these people voted for the parliament or the provincial council or any other entity. This is the very unfortunate situation what we are facing at the moment.
Manjula, I'd actually like to ask you this question now. CMEV is also supportive of this March 12th movement and getting clean candidates into parliament. Do you think it's practical, like as Rohana says, over the next 10 years to have that caliber of public representative?
Definitely, because we can say like this: in the post-independence history of Sri Lanka, actually, if we are taking 1947, the first election happened, general election happened. Then we have, as Sri Lankans, we have faced 15 election to elect members, including in famous referendum in 1982. Now Sri Lankans are going to face 16th elections, general elections in near future. Then we can say like this actually. At the very beginning of the launching of declaration, March 12 declaration, that when launching 8 criteria of the March 12 movement, that we can't deny the fact that all political leaders, majority of political party leaders, including Prime Minister and President, have signed this declaration and endorsed this. Then, if we are not willing to apply these criteria in coming elections, actually when they are giving nominations to unsuitable persons, there's an opportunity to election bodies like us, PAFREL, CAFE and CMEV and other organizations can go before public and say, see, these politicians endorse this but they are not applying this. But in near future we can't expect huge development. We will not be able to see huge development in this fact. But the thing is, if you are taking 10 or 15 years, actually this will happen, because we can see there were hundreds of people were gathered in towns last few days to support the March 12 movement. If you are taking Badulla district 2 or 3 days ago, we were able to organize the huge campaign related to March 12 movement, that signature campaign. Actually there were hundreds of people gathered there. Then we can see there's a huge interest among general public in this on this campaign. Then we hope that we will see some development.
Do you all have the support of law enforcement, now we are talking about the support of the Elections Commissioner. More importantly, do you have the support of law enforcement
Of course, yes.
agencies in implementing this?
Especially the law enforcement authority means, especially with regard to the elections, is the police department.
The police department.
They also play a big role. Actually, they are very cooperate with us most of the time. I mean, it depends. Sometimes it depends on the police officer, not really the big people in the district level, the local level. Most of the time they are supporting us, but there are some isolated cases as well. But as this question, I wish to respond that the naming and shaming, it's a good idea actually. We ask the Elections Commissioner to do that, especially the government officers who are not following his guideline and who are abusing their power to support some of these the political party and also the candidate. But naming and shaming for the candidate, actually it's hardly difficult for elections monitoring body. Sometimes we may have some information about two of you, right? But maybe the other two guys are maybe how should I say? You may be in a certain level. You also corrupted, but they are the big dealers. We don't have the information of them, but we do have your information, right? As a election monitoring body, if we declare that, it may be badly affect for you all, but they will be in the safe side. And also as a monitoring body, we can't we have some certain limitations during the elections period, even after. As a monitoring body, we need to maintain our neutrality. If you have information, if we say 4,000 candidate, if you have same information equally about this 4,000 candidate, yes, we are ready to do that. But there is no that kind of mechanism. It's a hardly difficult task, and also we don't have the mature democracy in the country. We don't have the healthy society in the country. So in that content, it's a hardly difficult to maybe in the futures, yes, but I think at the moment.
So I can ask one question.
Sure.
So you were saying that we don't have a mature democracy in the country, but I want to point out Sri Lanka is one of the first countries in this region and actually in the world to have universal suffrage, the universal right to vote for all people regardless of gender or ethnicity. So we've had the democratic tradition for a very long time. Even pre-independence there has been, it was moving towards that from 1931 onwards. So how can we say that when we have sort of led the way with the torch, have carried the torch of democracy in this region for so many years, for almost a century, how can we say now that we are not a mature democracy?
I think that is totally different. I think as you said that we got the this voting right for the both women and male and people in 1931. But I will give you one simple example. You know, Afghanistan also in the South Asian country under this our regions. So in Afghanistan, the prisoners are getting voting rights even though they are in prison. There are some mobile voting system, and here not really prisoners, at least the doctors and the nurses who are doing very essential work throughout the day, throughout the years, they are not getting chance.
So the system is broken.
Yeah, you see the simple example. Afghanistan, you can realize, everybody knows how is the situation in Afghanistan, right? The more situation.
Afghanistan has more women in parliament than
exactly 30%. I have been there a couple of times. I observe Afghan elections and other regional elections. But I should say, comparing with the other regional countries, we are quite all right. Comparing with the regional Asian countries, there are some good practices and also the bad practices. For example, Thailand vote buying is the large scale, right? The campaign finance in Bangladesh, there are some sort of campaign finance. So candidate can expend in certain limit. It depends on how many voters.
But in Sri Lanka's case, we don't really have an excuse, do we? Because we have the law and the law is not being enforced.
Well, there are some laws, yes. That is why the culture, to implement the law, we have to have the healthy political culture. That's what we are trying with this the citizens transforming the political. That's what we initiate this program.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We now move on to the final round. Thank you very much, Naveen. Thank you very much, Sonali. Thank you very much, Faraz. The final round, we start off with Mr. Rohan Hettiarachchi, Executive Director of PAFRO. Mr. Hettiarachchi, you do a commendable effort by going around Sri Lanka educating the public about who to choose at the next parliamentary elections. What is your message to the voter?
Actually, this the campaign, we have two objectives. The one is to pressurize the political parties to use this March 12 principle, and which is all the political parties, mainly the two major political parties, endorse, agree and sign, right? So we are pressurizing the political party to use this criteria. We are not asking consider one by one. We are asking them to consider the principle behind this 8 sort of criteria. That is one side. The secondly, we are if they have failed to do that, we are educating the people how they should select their representative. But unfortunately they have choice out of this the list of the candidate which the election political parties prepared submit. We are asking the voters, if your parties fail to do so, we can't say them they should not vote, something like that, right? But what we can ask them, out of the list, there may be one district, there may be 15 to 20 candidate. Out of them, they should select using this the scorecard. They should select. They can select actually the 3 people. They can vote one candidate, or they want to, if they want 2, yes, up to 3 they can select. So all the voters exercise like that, then the political party will get some sort of message. So that is what we are trying to do, that with the large scale support of the media and other like-minded organizations. I think we have planted that seed. Yeah, of course, yes.
Are you disappointed that the 20th Amendment of the Constitution was not passed?
Sorry?
Are you disappointed that the 20th Amendment of the Constitution was not passed?
Well, I have a little bit different opinion on that, and I'm fully support, because the entire country talking about the 20th Amendment, right? Expecting change the electoral system. I do agree. We need to change the system, but the place where we are touching the 20th Amendment, I don't think that even after, if we pass this 20th Amendment, what we expected out of the 20th Amendment may not achieve. I have some sort of reservations. There are good point and also the bad points. So there is no proper discussions on that. But if you ask one word, I'm saying yes. We are supporting.
Very quickly, what should be the focus of the next Parliament?
The Parliament, of course, focus on the. I mean, but that is their role actually. The lawmaking. Parliament is basically lawmakers, and also if they come into power, the government, so they are the policy makers. But unfortunately, the present Parliament is not like that. They are distributing the resources. So I think there are 2 areas that they need to consider. The one is actually the governance issue, 19th Amendment, 20th Amendment. There are certain other things, and also the development. The last couple of months, actually, we did not see that the development is taking place. So the Parliament has to consider these 2 factors, but they should not distribute the resources. They need to focus their main duty.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rohan Hettiarachchi, Executive Director of PAFRO. He is also spearheading the March 12th movement, which includes the March 12th declaration as well, to appoint clean members to Parliament. I now move on to Manjula Gajnayaka, National Coordinator of the Centre for Monitoring Election Violence. From a voter's perspective, what must a voter keep in mind when electing the next Parliament? The time starts now, Mr. Gajnayaka.
Yeah, we can say like this actually, as a as an election monitoring body, I should say this thing first actually. When we are issuing media communique or any other related thing, most of people are thinking that we are just issues public media communique without applying a proper mechanism. Actually, it is not correct. As election monitoring bodies, we always following a proper mechanism, that we always dealing with election commissioner, we always dealing with police department. Not only that, actually we have a formal proper mechanism in our organizations. We are deploying more than 6 or 7,000 in as if you are taking CNEV. CNEV is planning to deploy more than 8,000 static observers inside polling stations on election day. Addition to that, actually we already have deployed 200 field coordinators in the field. They are working for month time period during the pre-election time period of general election. If we are giving a message to voters, we can say one word actually: please select clean politicians to the parliament.
Manjula, also tell us with regard to the way forward for political parties when electing or giving nominations to their candidates to contest the next election.
we have many doubts on our mind actually, because the recent developments and decisions taken by political party leaders are not healthy. Regarding this if we are taking this election, that March 12 movement, actually we have 8 criteria. All 8 criteria have been endorsed by all political party leaders. Then but it seems like most of certainly political party leaders are going to give nominations for unsuitable candidates again. Then we can't see a good positive move taken by political party leaders right now. But we can think like this actually. We think that through the March 12 movement, not only that, actually we have taken many steps to aware voters regarding the not only this, actually regarding the election laws and other things. Then voters have enough evidence, voters have enough knowledge to select people who should go to the parliament. Then we can say that people should twice think when they are selecting their candidates to the parliament.
Thank you very much. That, of course, was Manjula Gajanaika, National Coordinator of the Centre for Monitoring Election Balance. Last but not all the least, the CAFE representative, Executive Director of CAFE, Mr. Kirti Tennakon. Mr. Tennakon, you said something very interesting. You said that nominations should not even be given to those individuals whose integrity has been come into question. What is your message to political party leaders, to general secretaries during the interview sessions that are taking place right now to hand over nominations?
The last elections, to keep it very short, is a tested and failed parliament. Why we are saying this last parliament is a tested and failed parliament? We are having more than 94 members of the parliament who was not even past the GCE O levels, and 143 plus people who has not passed GCE A levels. Education is not the fundamental when it comes to the very base thing or the most concerned issue when it comes to the politics. But if you are having something like 60% of the total lawmakers who has not passed at least the GCE or A levels, yes, definitely you are having a problem in your hand, and these are the ones who will decide your future, the future of this country. And we have to address this issue. And the question is how we are going to address this issue. Number one, if the political parties and the political leadership is failing on this issue, the people should have the courage and they should come forward to address this issue as they have done.
But even in the previous parliament, we see drug dealers, ethanol dealers, gamblers, all of them inside this parliament, according to what you say?
The good side about this last parliament is that now for the first time, with all the evidence and the dialogue taking place, there is a huge demand, unbelievable demand during the last 2 weeks to eliminate these sort of people from the parliament. And for the first time during the nomination times, we are talking about the quality of the candidates, and this has never happened in Sri Lanka before. So we are flagging the issues, we are highlighting the issues. The people very boldly says, come on, this is enough now. We have to address the issues, the real concerned issues. And moreover, the President and the Prime Minister, who was leading the UNP and the UPFA, the main coalition parties, they have to address the issue. And if they fail, then it's a chance of the voters, the citizens of Sri Lanka, to address the issue, and there's no other way. The people knows the candidate best, and there are so many people who is capable of doing the lawmaking part, and we should identify them, and it's the duty of the voters to identify them correctly and go forward with that. There's no other way we can find the quality lawmakers to the next parliament.
Who should be held accountable? People or the politicians?
It's everyone should be accountable, and if the politicians are failed to be accountable for the people, it's a people's choice. That we have to make sure that the politicians and everyone who is engaging with the democracy should accountable. And the power of vote is immense, and we should understand the power of vote. That's the main message, which very important for the August 17th, and that will definitely determine our future, the future of the parliament, the future of the nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keith Tendakon. We were in conversation with Mr. Rohan Hettiarachchi, Executive Director of PAFRIL, Mr. Keith Tendakon, Executive Director of CAFE, and Mr. Manjula Gajnayaka, National Coordinator of the Centre for Monitoring Election Violence. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening despite your demanding schedule. And again, thank you very much, Faraz, Sonali, and also Nadeem. There's one thing that I gathered today from this session. That is, politicians are not concerned about the country. They are, of course, not concerned about the people. They are concerned about themselves. Next Parliament, choose wisely. I'll leave you tonight with a quote. Leadership is not about the next election. Leadership is about the next generation. It's your time. You have the power. You could go to the polling booth and vote. Thank you very much. Good night.